Hey Blocksters, welcome to the Blockchain Hustler, a show where we talk to the leading founders, creators, celebrities, and disruptors who are hustling in Web3. Today's guest is Shiti Mangani, the CMO of STEPN. STEPN is a Web3 lifestyle move-to-earn app that tracks users' daily activity. And unlike regular fitness apps, however, by tracking your running, jogging, or walking, users can earn crypto while staying fit. STEPN is paving the way for the future of fitness in Web3, to say the least. Shiti, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Looking forward.
We appreciate it. And before we dive into all things STEPN, if you can just first tell us about your background up until joining the team at STEPN as Chief Marketing Officer.
Of course. My name is Shiti, and I am an electronics engineer with MBA by background. I started off my career in India, launching Wall Street Journal's digital arm in India. After that, I took on marketing and digital in PepsiCo in the US and worked on their brand books. Then I came to Europe, worked across France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Portugal. And then about 7 years ago, moved to UK, where I started my own startup on AI-based posture correction. So that was sort of my gateway into fitness industry using technology. And as I got more and more into it, I was extremely enamored by the potential of what was possible. And that's when I discovered STEPN, fortunately. When I joined, we were in test flight, so about less than a couple of thousand daily active users. And today we stand at about 1 million daily active users and over 3 million monthly active users. So it's been a ride of a lifetime and have thoroughly enjoyed fulfilling STEPN's mission.
Truly. Oh my gosh, what an incredible background you have, and an incredible journey that you've had in STEPN only within less than a year.
Less than 6 months, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. And like I said, STEPN is a Web3 move-to-earn fitness game where users download a mobile app that rewards them with cryptocurrency for running and walking outside in the real world. I love that so much. And you've described STEPN as kind of Strava meets Pokémon Go. Can you give us a rundown of how STEPN works?
Of course. So I want to start off by stating what we're here to do, because that just makes things so simple as
Right.
everything in our app, which we believe is the biggest thing responsible for our easier onboarding. So our mission is essentially to nudge millions, if not billions, of people towards a healthy lifestyle. Number one. Number two, while connecting them to Web3. And number three, doing so in a manner that we contribute positively towards carbon neutrality. Now, I know it's a mouthful and a lot of buzzwords there, but the proof lies in the pudding. And I will just double click on each of these and just explain how STEPN works and how we are practically fulfilling each part of those missions. Now, in terms of healthier lifestyle and connecting them to Web3, there are lots of people, 1/3 to be precise, of our users who are actually discovering crypto for the first time, making their crypto wallets for the first time, buying their NFTs for the first time. And big part of that reason is that these people, such as my mother, do not care about MetaMask, wallets, Solana, decentralization, but they do care about fitness, their movement, their health. And that is the gateway that we're using to get people onto Web3 rails in a way that benefits them, in a way that creates this positive loop of habit creation, results, accountability in social settings, and back to benefiting in the app. We do that in a very simplistic, easy manner, where our app has got one of the best UIs in Web3, and user clicks are speaking for that fact. And last but not the least, talking of positively contributing towards carbon neutrality, it's not just that we're getting people outdoors and not in the cars, but we're actively donating $100,000 every month on Nori blockchain for carbon credit removals.
That is incredible. I love those pillars that STEPN represents. It's all very important for the earth, for community, for even getting people to move and onboard them into Web3. That's so incredible. And something that I found so interesting about STEPN is the requirement of users to be outside while walking, while jogging or running in order to earn these tokens. Why is it a goal for STEPN to move users away from screens and being indoors and to push them into the real world?
Yeah, I think there are two parts to this question. One, why is outdoors important? And second, why are these outdoors important in Web3? So why are we building a fitness app in Web3? This is the question I get most often asked. And then if so, why are we doing that outdoors? So I'm going to answer these one by one. So first of all, why build a fitness app in Web3? Number one, the users get rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
These incentives make them stay fitter, and then they come back. So that's the loop that we just talked about. Second, ownership, and in real life transition, which is frictionless. Earlier, you could play Fortnite for hours and hours, and all you could do, depending on how you look at it, best or worst case scenario, is go to some dark corner of dark web and hope to sell those assets. But not anymore. App with its own inbuilt marketplace and easy ramps, you can easily transition your in-game assets because of ownership. Third is tokenomics. So one thing that we very nicely say is, if tokenomics are the foundations of Web3, then NFTs are the bricks in the walls of Web3. And thanks to these tokenomics, there's a constant supply and demand, which maintains the stability and economy of the gameplay. And last but not the least, network effects. Now, like most startups, we don't have millions of dollars to burn in marketing monies. But through these network effects, we empower communities, and that early community and early growth to get to a stage where we are. So that is all delivered by the power of Web3, blockchain, tokenization, and NFT. So that, in summary, are the four big reasons of building in Web3 in the first place. Now, why are we doing this outdoors, and why it's a bit of evolution? And if you allow me to just go a little bit meta on this, we all started with move to survive, right? That was prehistoric times, centuries ago, 10,000 BC. Gyms and fancy machines were not there, but we had to move to survive. We had to escape the predators. Then came move to fight. That was agricultural revolution, and the routines came into play, and we had to be ready for the battles that were the norm back then to protect your territory. Mm-hmm. Then came move to thrive. After the technological and agricultural revolution happened, that was the time where survival was taken care of, and yet physical fitness became the symbol of coveted signal in the virtuosity and civic duty, right? And then came move to flex, where in the Instagram era, you put up your bodies to make sure that there is a symbol of flex, and that was move to flex. And now we are what people are calling is move and earn, where movements are incentivized. See, these settings, whether they're outdoors, whether they're through monetary or crypto returns, work as incentives for us to overcome our monkey mind. What I mean by that is, as humans, we're not wired to read. We're not wired to exercise. We're wired to lay back on a beach or on a couch and watch TV, right? Mm-hmm. These incentives help us to give that motivation, to give that extra push for us to overcome our monkey mind and get fitter, which undeniably is the need of the hour. Like, there's no fee to running outdoors. There's no hardware needed for push-ups, and yet obesity is such a pandemic. Yet cardiovascular issues are a massive burden on government economies, right? And one big thing plaguing that simple problem with a most difficult solution is that of retention. Mm-hmm. Having built a fitness business before, I understand that single biggest problem of fitness industry is not growth. In fact, that comes easily in retrospective because there's novelty, there's newness, there's campaign, there's perks to be given. It's retention.
Mm-hmm.
And retention happen only and only when you get results. That's when the user comes back. And the results happen when there is accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And accountability to happen, there have to be incentives. And that is the gap that at STEPN we're trying to fill, whether through incentives or through social settings. When you're outdoor, you meet friends, you meet family, there is a regular cadence, you feel accountable to those people. You feel responsible for your schedule. And in that manner, we feel we'll be fulfilling that habit loop, that need that users have, and will be there for a longer term rather than a short-term fix. Sorry for the long answer, but I just wanted to address both the parts, Web3 as well as outdoors.
Absolutely. You're so right. The incentivization, there's so much to it, and it is difficult for people, for anyone to build up that habit. And even just having these short-term incentivizations that obviously can compound into the long term, but I understand where you're coming from, and it is very important. And that's wonderful that STEPN has all of that incorporated. And even going back to the community of it all, obviously the communities are such a backbone of NFTs. The community element of STEPN is key as well. Talk to me about the benefits of being part of the STEPN community in regards to fitness and connecting with one another, like you were saying earlier, and then even Web3 onboarding.
Of course. So in terms of community, I think that is one of our single biggest strengths. So at STEPN, we say there are only two things that matter. Every decision that we take, every step that we take, every activity that we do are measured by two yardsticks. One is product and second is community. Mm-hmm. And you know how startups are. They're really scrappy pieces of businesses, held together by band-aids everywhere. But there's one thing that startups exceed really well. There's one thing that works like a machine. There's one thing that they've cracked like nobody else. And for us, we believe it's that of community, right? There is a website called stepnworld.com, which fortunately, unfortunately, has nothing to do with us as like formally a STEPN team, but it's in fact created by our community. And as we speak, there are events that are happening in Athens, Miami, New York, LA, Taipei, Korea, do happen in the UK that I went to, then in Sydney, Melbourne, in different parts of the world. Like it's not even coming to my mind. And it's all being done by a lovely community. And when you go there, it's not just 20 to 44-year-old males that are there. It's babies in push pram, it's their spouses, it's moms, it's dads, it's mom-in-laws. And you see people onboarding each other, like every user onboarding at least 4 to 5 users, which sort of explains our growth, because having done next to nothing in paid marketing, this has been the single biggest driver of our growth, that of organic onboarding.
Wow.
Because we're still miles away from just teaching people how to open their crypto wallet or start their crypto wallet just by YouTube videos. There's still that little bit of like personal touch needed. And that's what we witness in these events. That's how we witness in the community. So just to summarize, the key impact or takeaway for our community are these offline events, these community belongingness that they feel both in Discord, Twitter, as well as in real life. Are these health and physical impact that they have had? Like my Twitter feed is full of people, their stories of transformations, because now we're coming to that 6 to 8 months period where people have been at it for a while, right? So people have lost weight, there's like before and after pictures coming up. There's like people who have recovered from arthritis. There are people who have recovered from some serious mental health issues. God bless them. And they found STEPN at a time that nothing was, remember like COVID and coming out of it and job losses and stuff. And thank God they discovered STEPN for that. So that's been one beautiful part of STEPN's journey that we've been lucky to be able to have contributed towards, and this is the bit that we will want to keep going on and on about, and contribute towards.
Right. And it's incredible how current STEPN users are getting so many of their friends, family, neighbors into it as well. Who would you say are the types of people using STEPN, the initial people, and just what is their mindset?
That's a lovely question. So I would say about three kinds broadly. Uh, so one bucket would be this new to Web3, entirely the person who wants to try out, wants to get a feel, but is sort of skeptic, has heard
Mhm.
his or her friend talk about it, somebody in distant relative, but also equally read all these bizarre news about people going bankrupt, people getting scammed away. Right now, they're getting their first flavor of Web3 because it seems like something they can touch, they can feel. Like this is the app, you move about and you earn crypto rewards. Like there's no lose-lose proposition. And when they try the app, it looks pretty simple. There's easier onboarding. There are products, icons, language that they understand. There's no difficult parlance or complicated buzzwords that keeps them away, or maybe some other day we will download. So that's sort of their mindset, and in that hope of trying something new, sometimes they find a friend who onboards them, sometimes they look at a white paper, sometimes they check out our Discord, sometimes they check out our Instagram or Twitter, and these become the gateway of them coming into our fold. Usually it's first through socials or a friend, and then they slowly but very immediately get into our ecosystem. So that is one. The second would be, I would say, fitness enthusiasts, people who've been moving about, who've been running, and now suddenly feel like, oh my God, why was I running this while without this app? And I meet such people at the events, and it's so lovely and fascinating to hear their stories too. So the second user group I would ascribe to is fitness enthusiasts, and also sometimes gamers, like people who just want to really learn how to game things. And at the end of the day, we do have a very interesting gameplay as well to keep people hooked with a lot of mystery boxes, with a lot of leveling ups of needed for your sneakers, which sort of acts as burn for sinks for our tokens, GST and GMT as well. So there are gameplays as well. And the third kind of user I would be is like the crypto native. They have to try what is going on, what is the hot, and we are one of the hottest apps in crypto right now. So that would be the crypto native core user base that we started out with, and then slowly branched out to fitness enthusiasts, and then the new users of Web3.
Okay, wonderful. And obviously with STEPN, users have to buy their sneaker NFTs, and then there's the earning of the tokens, and you do want to combat any sort of people trying to cheat or maybe bots coming in. I know STEPN has several anti-cheating systems in place. Can you talk to me about how those work?
Of course. So we have a system called SMAC in place, which basically is a machine learning algorithm that prevents cheating. So anti-cheating model based on machine learning. Essentially, we are not trying to store anybody's data. So we deploy cutting edge technology such as federated learning. Now, this is a bleeding edge technology in the world, which very few companies or engineers even deploy currently. But we have the wherewithal and we have access to such engineers who are building these systems for us. Now, essentially how ML works is trash in, trash out. So the quality of output depends on the quality of your input. And where is the best quality of your input? It is at your cell phones, on your devices. Having said that, we don't want to store that data. This is where federated learning comes into play, where it accesses the data on your cell phones, not stores it, and anonymizes it, and makes a centralized processing through decentralized storage. So using federated learning, we have deployed machine learning algorithms that basically draw patterns, and anything that stands out of the pattern, we're able to catch it immediately through SMAC system. We take cheating very seriously, and it's important again because longevity and sustainability are core to our thinking. We're not here for a few months or a few years. We want to be around for at least a few decades, if not more. And for this sustainability and longevity, making sure that the gameplay is fair, robust, and long term is important. And for that reason, Snack becomes very crucial for us.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, running on a treadmill does not count. And because that's inside, you have to be outside, getting your body moving out in the elements, out in the real world.
At the moment, yes. In fact, there's a very interesting story to this as well. So, both our founders, who are exceptionally, phenomenally smart and hardworking people, Yon and Jerry, they actually met in times of COVID in Australia, and a lot of our missions have actually come out of that thinking, because there was time of COVID, there was Australian bushfires happening. People were struggling with loneliness and just dealing with this once in 100-year pandemic that had happened. And with that backdrop of Australian bushfire, there was a thought of how do we work towards carbon neutrality as well. So when COVID was happening, it was important for people to start meeting again. Like, people were already outdoors. Gyms were not the safest places to exercise at that time. People were encouraged to be outdoors. Now, while they were outdoors, how do we make their life that much a little better? That even if you're running alone, you're running together, whether it's in real life or metaverse, right? So the kernel of STEPN came from that thought. And now, even though we're not in COVID, it's so much better, right? It's so much better to be outdoors, to be in the social settings. And we found that what could have perhaps been perceived as a barrier to app usage and adoption turned out to be actually a trigger and an incentive, because people like being outdoors, people like meeting outdoors, people like being accountable. And now we have these marathons and push-up events and challenges and contests. We've recently launched a contest where we call it STEPN Run, where people can just send in 10 to 30 seconds videos of their local scenery, making their local region proud as STEPN Run contest, and then they win prizes. So yes, what started out as in the backdrop of COVID just became very core to our app.
I love that so much. Like, in this day and age, any excuse for me to step outside, breathe some fresh air, take a walk, get away from screens, like, I will take that opportunity. So I love that about STEPN. And it was recently announced that STEPN, this is very exciting, it'll expand into the Ethereum ecosystem and also allow holders of Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs to mint a free pair of NFT sneakers. My question for you is, how will this move welcome new communities into STEPN as it grows?
Yeah, we're quite proud of this initiative. See, again, going back to where STEPN's mission is, one of the key missions is adoption, right? Just getting these next 100 million users onto Web3 rails. And for that scale of adoption to happen, you have to join hands. You cannot stand alone. For the Web3 that we envision is not an isolated island, but that of community. Ethereum is one chain that we were not on. We were on Solana and BSC chain. And Ethereum is one of the pioneers in blockchain movement. So what better chain to start building on? And once we started looking at that chain, we were looking for communities to draw towards us. And what better community than BAYC? So that was sort of the part of thinking where the only driving factor is inclusiveness and adoption, getting as many adjoining communities into fold of STEPNverse as possible. In terms of how does it contribute towards our ecosystem, it's very simple. See, we have that, remember how I mentioned about like this one thing that every startup excels at, and for us, it's that community growth flywheel. We have an easy like app onboarding that creates this fitness habit creation loop that we've talked about. This results in that community, that empowered community that belongs to each other and to STEPN. That further leads for us and drives us towards brand collaborations such as these. And this welcomes in new users who then are onboarded easily to the app, who then get into those loops. And this is a beautiful, positive win-win loop for communities, for collaborations, for us that we've created and we want to keep building on.
That's incredible. And gosh, STEPN has already achieved so much since its launch. What is the long-term vision of STEPN overall moving forward?
So our mental model is essentially built on 4 pillars. I would say establish, grow, unlock, and accrue. Let me double click on each one of them. So establish is where we're driving mind share of STEPN brand. I mean, sometimes people forget that even though we are 1 million daily active users and 3 million monthly users, we're still only a few months old brand. So while we have some sort of foothold in Web3, our ambitions lie much beyond. So driving this mind share through further IP collaborations, through partnerships is the part of establish pillar. The second pillar is growing. Wherever we establish within Web3 and outside Web3 through different experiences such as entertainment, such as through social experiences, we want to build a super app which offers different kinds of experiences to STEPN users. The third pillar is that of unlocking. This is where we're talking of unlocking new experiences within our product for our users, such as unlocking new gameplays, unlocking new social experiences. And last but not the least is the pillar of accrue, where all of these products, all of these initiatives, any collaboration that we take finally has a unifying thread of GMT, our token, and all the value accrues back to the token. So that sort of is the thinking model at STEPN.
Wonderful. Gosh, and STEPN is sort of revolutionizing the fitness industry and fitness apps. How do you see the utility of NFTs evolving the fitness industry as a whole?
I think we've only scratched the surface of NFTs as far as utility is concerned, right? So just to step back, like what are the characteristics of NFTs that ripen them for utility? I would say transparency, indivisibility, transferability, and interoperability. And their use cases then can be broadly of 2 kinds, secular and broad. Secular use cases are limited to the ecosystem NFT projects, whereas broad are like for broader applications to humanity at large. So examples of secular use cases, which is where we and the industry at large is at, would be staking, exclusive benefits, redeemability, breeding, memberships, etc., etc. This is phase 1. Right? We have a long way to go. As we move into the next phase of broader utility, as the technology matures, that is when we truly unlock the potential with things like authentication, IP, real estate, ticketing, voting, insurance. And one application that I'm specifically interested about is music. So yes, as the tech matures, we definitely discover more and more use cases. As the utility grows, so will adoption. And it's an inevitability. After all, like I said, if tokenomics lay the foundation of Web3, NFTs are the bricks in the walls of Web3.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Everyone listening, if you want to get your fitness on, be accountable, earn some tokens, be outside, definitely join the STEPN movement. And before we wrap up, Shiti, if you can just please tell us and tell everyone here where they can become a part of the STEPN movement and join the community.
Lovely. Yes, please visit Twitter and join our community. Or if you already are familiar with Discord, you can check out our Discord for real-time updates. There's Linktree channel where you can download the app from either Google App Store or Apple App Store and just get cracking and stepping in.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shiti, for joining us on the Blockchain Hustler today. We really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.